What is the most awkward situation you have found yourself in with your parents? It was the first time I was wine drunk with some relatives. I only remember bits and pieces, but the part one remember was horrifying. I have a Playboy collection, and for some reason I wanted to jack off really bad. My room was being used as the coach room and the bathroom in my basement was taken. So I head to the upstairs restroom with my magazine strapped in my belt under my shirt. As I reach the top of the stairs, my stepmom asks, "Where are you going, derp?" When I turn to reply, my common Electra winter issue Playboy falls from its hiding place. Suffice to say, this story is still talked about at family gatherings 5 years later. When I asked my mom why there was blood on her bedsheets, she started, "Well, when two people love each other very much." I said nope, and promptly left the room. Never spoke of it again. The Icy Hot Incident. I was a young 14-year-old, and I had just finished a long football practice. That night I applied some icy hot to my inner thigh because I got a nasty bruise. I went to bed without washing my hands. Next thing I know, I'm itching my crotch. Then, like a rocket engine, was burning my crotch. I leapt out of bed in a panic, knocking shit over, doing an awkward potty dance. I ran to the bathroom and jumped into the shower fully clothed, with my junk hanging out. The shower nozzle pointed directly at my crotch and me vigorously rubbing my crotch. My mother was alerted by all the commotion. My mother walks in the open bathroom door and I'm spraying down my balls and rubbing vigorously, and my mom just stands there with her mouth open. I notice her staring at me, and I look at her, and the only thing I can mutter is, "Get out." The next day in the car she asked me if everything was okay. Only words I said were "icy hot." My mom busted out laughing for a good 10 minutes. It'll never live. That one down. My 7-year-old sister, me 17 at the time, and my parents were busy stripping the sheets off of their bed during a house cleaning day. My sister saw something fly out of the sheets, and she picked it up. It was a travel-sized bottle of lube, and it was half empty. Of course. She brought it to me. "What's this?" My parents look over, horrified. The combination of 1. My parents staring at me to see if I recognize what it is. 2. Me trying not to give away that I totally know what it is because I bought it a week ago and mysteriously lost it. 3. Me realizing that my parents found my lube and used it. 4. Me and my dad both reaching for it at the same time. Made it the most awkward 20 seconds with my parents that I've yet experienced. My dad loved barging into my room with a joking "What's going on in here?" One time me and my girlfriend were getting intimate on my coffee table, doing some strange experimental positions that she found in a Kama Sutra book, and my dad bursts through the door. "What's going on?" "Oh, sorry, my bad." My parents got in the hot tub naked every night. I ignored them, but I had a friend over and she wanted to spy on them. She was peeping through the blinds from upstairs, and I was rolling my eyes. But the worst was that my parents came straight up when they got out, told us that they could see the blind opening every time, and laughed at us for being peeping idiots. Came home from college one weekend to stay with my parents. Got food poisoning from a late night run to Taco Bell. Ran to the bathroom to throw up. Turns out that vomiting uncontrollably made me shit my pants as well. Took off my pants, underwear and shirt after I thought I was done. After all, the human body can only contain so much fluids, right? Nope. Started throwing up again, even worse, and now the diarrhea is leaking out my butt cheeks and onto the floor. Parents bust in wondering who the duck is dying in the bathroom. I turn around to tell them not to come in. Too late, the motion triggers another vomit attack. I throw up on the half-opened door, the sink, their legs and feet, while my ass blasts shit all over the inside of the tub. Both of them just sit there and stare at me covered in puke and shit, shaking from the cold and strain of puking so much. Dad runs to the store to get some ginger ale and Pepto. My mom tries to wipe off most of the fluids off of me, the floor, and the shower. I spent the night on the toilet crapping out my intestines and throwing up in a bucket. The smell was so horrible, and I left what looked like a Rorschach test on the wall facing the toilet. Parents are champs. Now took care of their 20-year-old son naked and covered in his own fluids. Helped them redo the bathroom when I came home for the summer. I tried to French kiss my mom when I was 6 because I saw it in a movie. My dad walked in on me at age 22 banging my then fiancée from behind. He came in to tell me the final score of a basketball game. I'm honestly not sure to this day if he saw what was happening because he had no reaction and the room and the hallway were dark. A couple years back my family's driving south along the highway and we always stop by at this Indian restaurant because they make damn good Indian food. However, it's a Tuesday night and the place is empty. I've never been there and seen more than 2 tables occupied at a time. How the heck do they stay open? I have no clue. Anyway, we order a bunch of food and we are sitting around, derping and eating naan when this large woman who was a couple lbs shy of using a mobility scooter comes waddling through the doorway like an oak tree in a windstorm. Behind her is a meek looking, skinny 14-year-old blonde girl carrying a boombox. She announces my daughter, Kismet, will be doing belly dancing for the evening. So sit back and enjoy, and my family looks at one another with slight confusion and discomfort. She sets the boombox down and turns it on. Crappy Indian pop fills the empty restaurant while she begins to shake everything her mama gave her, which isn't much because she's 14 years old. Jesus Christ. My family and I sit there, trying not to show the whites of our eyes as we stifle the laughter and stress vomit. I was about 19 at the time and unfortunately the youngest person at the table, so Kismet kept all her eye contact on me. She was attempting some sort of weird hypersexualized hybrid belly dancing, like a mixture of Shakira and electrification. All that was missing was the Toys R Us stripper pole. The scene was quickly giving me indigestion. It's a little stressful to be eating a meal while a half-naked teenager burns a hole into your forehead with her eyes and wriggles around the place like a drowning worm. And my dad wasn't making it any easier. He elbowed me, laughing, and pushed $1 over to me. Hey, you should give this to her. I bet she'd give you her number. At some point I glance up and look at the mother. She's also looking straight at me, melting into her booth seat and drinking a beer. She had that look on her face that she was disappointed that we weren't tipping her and that this was a major waste of her time. She never looked over at her daughter, only at us. This went on for a half an hour in an empty restaurant in the middle of nowhere. I can't even begin to imagine what was going through the girl's mind. The sadness and shame that this mother was putting her daughter through while we sat there and ate. It was like mixing the horror of a child beauty pageant with the awkward despair of one's last meal on death row. My family was quick to notice that Kismet had been staring at me most of the time. They spent the last 2 hours of the car ride commenting on how I should have gone over and talked to her, and it was a pity that I didn't offer her a tip while holding the money in my teeth. Yeah, pretty much ruined the word Kismet for me. Too long didn't treat Ogre forces us to watch her belly dancing slave wiggle for our amusement while we eat Indian food in an empty restaurant in the heart of bumduck nowhere. I'd have to say the time I walked in on my parents about to show their love for each other, or the time I walked in on my dad fapping in the garage. My eyes have burnt ever since. That was about 10 years ago. I was moving out of my dorm and of course I was doing it all last minute, and of course I had to bang my girlfriend just one last time before we wouldn't see each other for a month or so. My mum gets to the dorm right as we finish, and by time she got to my room my girlfriend and I had tidied up nicely. My mum greets and smiles at my girlfriend. My girlfriend reciprocates and leaves. Thank God she left, because she did not have to be present for the soul-crushing awkwardness that was soon to come. My mum, my brother, and myself start moving stuff out of my room and to the car. I guess the boxes were dirty or something, because both my mum and brother decided they needed hand sanitizer. Also, I guess my girlfriend and I did not clean up well enough. We left out the lube. Without looking, my brother grabs the lube and squirts it into my mum's hands, and then his both proceed to try to rub it into their skin. Slowly it dawns on me that they just squirted the lube, still glistening from its recent sexy time use, into their hands. They realize this roughly at the same time as I do. My brother proceeds to freak out and runs off to the bathroom. My mother stands there for a moment looking dazed. She looks at the bottle, then to me, and says it's good lube. Too long didn't read to this day Kai makes me shudder. When I was 16, I got really drunk at a family party, hit on a family friend in her mid-40s, pissed on my aunt's wall, vomited in the taxi home, and pooped and vomited while asleep. My mom had to give me a shower in the morning. Not that awkward, but it just happened. I was out with my parents, sister, and fiance for my mom's birthday dinner. My dad was talking about his new motorcycle and how he was going to get some passenger pegs for it. He said to my mom, "I'm going to put something exciting between your legs." Awkward enough, but I had to interject for the first time in 30 years. It should be noted that all 3 of their children are in their 20s. It was my 7th grade summer, and I was still living with my parents. To set up the scene, it was a 2-story house in a quiet suburban Los Angeles neighborhood. I always came home from school around 2:45 and my dad would be back by 3:30. Usually in this 45-minute gap I would go crazy in a 7th grade way by playing loud music, fapping, playing computer games. It so happened around this time in spring that things changed. I came home at 2:45 as usual and decided today was fap day. Took off my school uniform and pants and proceeded to load up Freons. Back then there was no streaming and I could only look at pictures and the 15-second sample clips. My standards have significantly increased since then. I proceeded to start whacking at it. 30 minutes in, with 15 minutes to spare I was about to finish. Usually I would finish on whatever tissues I had on my desk, but this time I didn't. Little had I known, my dad had came home a few minutes early from work, and as I was nearing my climax point he had made his way upstairs. Note, my room is a very small room. It was a laundry room which I had chose to be my room because it was cozy and I could sit on my bed as a chair for my computer. I was facing the door. Now as I had finally reached that level and was about to spew my load, my dad pops in through the door. I screamed in shock, nude, and I was already at the point where I could not hold it in anymore. All over my hands and parts of my dad's legs, while he watched in shock and horror. I had never been more embarrassed in my life. After this he finally decided to give me the talk. When I was 25 I lost my job and humbly moved back in with my parents, with the only option of a room being the basement. I was directly beneath my parents' bedroom. Well, while I was living on my own, my parents decided to become swingers at 49. And I had to listen to my parents banging other people. I once dropped acid right after school on a Friday. Went home to quickly get ready to go out when my mom said, "Okay, you ready to go?" To which I replied, "How? We are going to get you fitted for your tux. For your brother's wedding." Needless to say it was an adventure. Alright, story. I was in grade 9 and had this class called Spartacus. It was a fitness class that you would weightlift then run 3 km. I put the tab only one. I was in grade 9. Later in life 5 strips became the norm in my mouth before the run. By the time the run was over and I walked home I was peaking huge. So I get in the car with my mom and the world around me is breathing. I try to make regular conversation about her work and my brother's wedding. How was your day? Is everything ready for the wedding, etc. Looking for her to talk and me to not be stupid. I'm a pretty talkative extrovert. So while walking through the mall and my mom notice I'm not talking as a situation, I have to say, "Oh, I'm just tired from the week in Spartacus." But really the walls are flowing and the people are all waving and looking at me like they know. Getting the tux on was like taking a straight jacket off. Lucky I have never put one on and I'm 15, so I can play stupid. But I'm telling you, it was scary being stuck in a room by yourself with a mirror, which we all know is the worst thing while hallucinating, and clothes you have no idea what to do with. The tailor came in and basically dressed me. Holding back the laughter was the hardest thing I have ever done. It all gets done, and we leave. I'm so relieved, and just hope we can go home, and I can leave. But of course I have to eat dinner with my parents at home now. Eating and acid doesn't mix. I literally have to force food down my throat. The whole time trying not to giggle or freak out. Both possibilities. I'm finally able to leave. The relief was unbelievable. My friends had a great night listening to my horrible incident. Consider subscribing if you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more of Reddit universe,